Just a quick corporate overview. Carnaby has 170 million shares on issue. Share price is about just under 50 cents. Market cap of about 80 million. So that means our cash in bank's about 10.8, which is great to get well funded to get us through PFS and a big exploration program in the next 12 months. So that gives an EV of about 75 million. Strong top 20 shareholding base and a strong board. You can see the history there with over the last 4 years. We've made 3 very significant discoveries and we've completed a resource, scoping study, and now we're into the PFS. We won't have time to talk about the WA projects today and really focus on the Greater Duchess Copper Gold project. So just zooming into where we're located, we're 70 kilometres southeast of Mount Isa. And it's important to talk about the infrastructure. It is a tier 1 infrastructure. Obviously, Mount Isa, Glencore up the road, 70 kilometres to the north. There's the underground. Everyone's probably aware that the underground is officially closing down there halfway through next year, but that creates opportunities because that mill is becoming 6 million tonne per annum mill is becoming completely underutilised. So one of the key bits of infrastructure there is the railway, and the railway, as you know, goes down from Mount Isa, comes down through our project, literally comes within 800 metres of one of the deposits and 2 kilometres of the other deposit. So that rail is a potential opportunity to get onto. That railway is completely underutilised. It has a capacity of about 7 million tonnes per annum. It's currently doing about 2 to 3 million tonnes. So we've started high-level negotiations and discussions with Horizon, Glencore, and we're not trying to look at something that hasn't been done before. Back in the 60s, this same siting was used to load limestone onto that area, the old siting there at Myubi, and take that limestone up to Mount Isa. You can see that diagram up in the top left there. That's in Mount Isa. You can see the loop. The larger loop there, the smaller loop, is the one that was used for the limestone. So there's certainly some options there. You can see the ROM pad on the left-hand side there. So it's a great potential there to utilise that Tier 1 infrastructure. And also the road. We have a road. We have road options as well. And obviously the gas pipeline goes down within 3 kilometres. So we're looking at 2 options: standalone, or utilising the mill up in Mount Isa or elsewhere. So exploration, really it shouldn't be lost that in the last 2.5 years we've discovered from 315,000 tonnes copper equivalent from nothing. So that's about $4.5 billion worth of in situ value. And this is where it's come from. So if we start from the bottom there, the 3 discoveries, Ndesbrandom, Lady Fanny and Mount Hope, all in the same corridor, completely overlooked corridor, and 2 of those deposits have never been drilled. And certainly Ndesbrandom, we discovered the high-grade breccia shoot there. We compiled that corridor there. You can see we compiled a resource of 21.8 million tonnes, 1.3, 0.2 gold. We've completed a scoping study, and that scoping study really highlights a great optionality for a low capex, 35 million pre-production capex startup, or continue to grow the resource for a standalone. But we're really also focused on the potential for more discovery, so I think that's going to come out in the next few slides. We have consolidated the area, Mount Hope especially. We have the neighbours there with Hammer Metals. We did a 3 sub-block deal around our best deposit, which is Mount Hope. You can see there in the mining lease, we own 100% of that mining lease. We've 51% of the surrounding ground. And you can see the optimised pits there in pink. We're spilling across that mining lease boundary, so we've rationalised that. We've done the deal with Hammer to get access to that, but also it's not just those pits. There's huge exploration potential on those 3 sub-blocks. You've got South Hope just to the south there, 25 metres at 2. There's certainly something that's going to be economic there. But we are into a big RC exploration program now, and this is looking for new open pittable resources to grow the resource. And this is one of the key slides. So this is the Mount Hope region, and this is a completely underexplored, almost unexplored area. And I don't say that lightly. If you look at the mining lease there, where we've got 10.3 million tonnes at 1.7, that's been, we've got into Mount Hope, we've discovered Mount Hope, we've proved that up in the last 18 months, and we haven't stepped outside that mining lease yet, and we're just literally getting to that now. And what you probably can't see on the diagram there, but the grey stars there is all the drilling in that 5 kilometre by 5 kilometre area. And if you're looking for any grey stars outside of the Mount Hope mining lease, there's about 5 holes in our ground. So there's huge potential here, and it's hard to believe that areas like this haven't been drilled previously. The Mohawk is a new discovery. We've got outcropping secondary copper on the surface, and we'll talk about that at length. The Plus, you've got Mount Hope lookalike there. You've got this the big anomaly up the top right there, which is a Spring Creek. That's one of the biggest surface geochem anomalies you'll see for this type of system. And remarkably, only a couple of holes in there, and it's certainly at that DJ Jude area, there's about 400 metres of serious workings that have never even been tested with any drilling. But I guess the one we're really excited about at the moment is Mohawk. We put this out on Monday morning. The history there is that Hammer flew VTEM on the 3 sub-blocks, which are in light blue. That VTEM line finished on the end of the boundary there, and picked up a very strong conductor within our 100% ground. We've just completed a fixed loop EM survey there, and we'll see what that looks like now. So you can see there, this is what it looks like. There's a fantastic conductor there, starting at 100 metres below surface, 1,745 Siemens and 200 by 60 metre plate. There's outcropping copper mineralisation. We've done one costine across there that's got 10 metres at 1.6, including 6 at 2.3, and we've been able to trace that gossan at surface. So there's the plate in black, and just important to point out, there's not a single drill hole in this target or anywhere. If we go north of here for about 2 kilometres, there's some fantastic targets and with outcropping mineralisation, and again, no drilling. If we go down to Ndesbrandom, this is where it all started. The Ndesbrandom deposit you see there in pink, that's the resource boundary where we originally hit the 41 metres at 4% in a really nice breccia, plunging about 50 degrees to the southwest there. All the holes there on that page are in the white dots. It's important to note it's completely open to the southwest, and it's hosted in that big fault. So you see that big northeast fault, that's the host. But the critical point there is that there is no drilling south of that pink mineral resource outline. And when I say no drilling, there's no drilling for 70 kilometres along that trend. So there's huge exploration potential. We've defined in the background, I guess we've been, the geologists have been really busy with the scoping study, but in the background we've been doing a whole lot of work on the exploration front, which we've only just started to talk about. We've got some fantastic targets at Nil Secundo down to the south, Ndesbrandom lookalikes. We're getting outcropping breccias, and there, like I said, there's no drilling done in that area. So we're looking to do a VTEM survey of this shortly in mid-September, and then we'll get into the drilling phase. And then we've only been talking about that very top corner there of the tenement package. As I said, we pegged all this ground to the south there at Macbat when we made the Ndesbrandom discovery, and that is completely open. There is not even any soil sampling down that area, so a completely overlooked belt, which is highly remarkable in the Mount Isa Inlow, where you think it's a very brownfields mature district. So our other project we did recently was a farming with Tento. We're farming in, and this is a tier 1 target. This is under a bit of cover. Rio did about 25 diamond holes, huge spacing, 300 to sort of 1,000 metre spacing, almost all vertical drilling. The concept here is to come in and drill angle holes, looking for the steep feeder structures. We hit a 17 metre wide breccia zone, and that breccia that we've hit in that angled hole hasn't been pierced in any other drill holes as far as we know. So there's certainly more work to do there. But the focus at this stage is certainly on the Greater Duchess area. In terms of development, I think it is really, the optionality here is the key point. We have an optionality for a really low capex startup, utilising the Mount Isa mill or other processing facilities. Or the other option is to continue to expand the resource and build up a standalone project. So we look at the scoping study. We really did focus on utilising third-party processing, because it all makes sense. You know, there's underutilised mills in the region. There's infrastructure we can get on. So we do think that is a logical way to go, but we will only go down that avenue if it makes sense and if we can do a good deal. So the EBITDA for the project is 715 million, a good IRR, and so it's important to point out we did the optimisation at $12,000 a tonne. We ran the financials at 15,000, but the optimisation is the key because that locked in the cut-off grade. So a very high cut-off grade. So underground was about 1.4 CUEQ, and the open pits were in the order of 0.7. So if we re-optimise for the PFS at a higher copper price, you know, maybe 14,000, we'll certainly see the more inventory come into just that study. But I guess one of the key points here is the production profile is 3 years of open pit mining in light blue there, and then transitioning to underground. And the underground is the Mount Hope Central. That gives us a great base load of about 15,000, just under 15,000 CUEQ tonnes per annum. And we could continue to drill that at depth, but we've pivoted now. Really, there's no point extending. We've drilled that down to about 700 metres. We could continue to drill that, but really that's expensive drilling, and it's way out at the end of the mine life. The key optionality here is to add open pittable resources, and we think we're going to be easily able to get that 15,000 base load up to 25 to 30,000 tonnes per annum. 3 years of open pit at 1.1 to at 1.7 CUEQ, and then there's your base load of 700,000 tonnes at 2.3. This is what the scoping study looks like in terms of location. You can see the proximity to the railway. We're really chasing that down hard, and so certainly there's just everything makes sense to do that, but there's a little bit way to go there. Again, 15 million. It's not putting in a siding, a little bit of capex for haul roads, that siding obviously, and some contingencies in there. And there is the other alternative is to get it up the road as well. So, in terms of the forward plan, this is what it looks like. We're allowing ourselves 2 years for permitting. We're completing the PFS. The PFS will be completed through halfway through next year, and we're doing all the work now. We're doing geotech drilling, infill drilling, met studies, environmental work. So that's all happening in the tandem with the exploration. But this next 6 months is really going to be a big exploration focus as well, and really focusing on those open pittable targets. And I think, certainly watch this space. So I think that's pretty much it. So in summary, I think we're certainly in a great position, really focusing on the exploration in this next 6 months particularly, and I'd really watch out for that Mount Hope area where we should be drilling Mohawk in the next 2 to 3 weeks. We've got the rig out there now drilling some of those other targets, and obviously the PFS is continuing. So I think the Mount Isa region is certainly there's a lot of action there at the moment. There's certainly potential for some consolidation in that district, and I certainly think we're potentially to be a big part of that. So thanks very much.